Super interested to see that match. Craig is a wrestler now, I guess, so that'll be interesting to see what his strategy, and his thoughts are on the match. I think Pedro is really tough. I think the one thing that maybe he suffered from in the past is his cardio a little bit, but the same for Craig as well, so I think it's very, stylistically it's very different. It's a hard match to call because Pedro can kind of put a pressure on Craig, and if Craig doesn't get to his positions, I see Pedro kind of maybe, avoiding the leg locks, getting on guillotines, and putting a good 15 minutes, right? The match? Yeah, I think he could hang and put a good pressure on Craig, but man, Craig's got good leg lock entries too. You got to be very wary. So, damn, that's a tough one. I'll go Pedro. I'll go for the upset.
So if Craig doesn't pull guard, what's the worst thing that happens? Marinho takes him down. Then he's playing guard anyway, right? So that's how I see it. I think Craig's going to be on bottom. Ultimately, it depends on Pedro Marinho's leg lock defense. If he's gonna keep his legs back, his outside passing. Marino's incredible, right? He just won double gold in Nogi Worlds, so I see that match being really exciting, and we'll see if Craig can get to his legs with his knee shield game, or if Marino's gonna make it hard for Craig to get inside on him. So I feel like if Craig can't get to the knee shield, I think that Marinho might do a good job of neutralizing that.
Well, I think Craig is obviously who Craig is with his leg entanglements, and all of his other jiu-jitsu is just as good. He just happened to kind of, I guess, pop on the scene with the leg locks, obviously, and then Pedro is just one of the toughest grapplers on the planet. So you have this technical savant against this juggernaut of power. I think it's just going to be a killer matchup. I think Craig will win just based off it. He's got a little bit more experience. So he's a little bit more in tune with that kind of level of competition, maybe. But Pedro also is in tune with the same thing. Pedro's did really well against the same guys, some of the same guys Craig has did really well against. So it's I think Craig will win, but Pedro has a shot as well.
That's a good match because Pedro's kind of he's real gritty. He doesn't give anything up. He's aggressive. He has a very strong gas tank, but Craig Jones has also been working on his wrestling and all that, so it should be good. He says he's not going to pull guard, but I think he's going to have to pull guard against Pedro, and then it'll just be a matter of Craig can get into the legs and through Pedro's defense, but if Pedro just stays heavy on top and stays a patient game, I think he could beat Craig Jones.
It's hard to say because Pedro's been on a really big tear, but I just feel that Craig has, I don't know, he's just really, he's really creative with his technique too, and I know we know him for leg locks, but I also, I watched a lot of footage of him rolling, and yeah, he's just really creative with his submissions, and I think that he'll take this one.
So I've competed against Pedro, and I've trained with Craig in the past, and both of them are ridiculously strong human beings. I think that the favorite's Craig, right? I think Pedro actually has an opportunity to win this match because I think people who compete against Pedro are not used to him. They don't realize how physical he is. He's really rough to compete against. I mean, he's not an asshole. He's just really hard to compete against. But Craig is one of the strongest human beings I've ever trained with either. So it'd be an interesting match. I want to see some wrestling from the two of them. But I don't want it to stay on the feet too long. So hopefully one of them, gets a takedown or gets a guard pull or something like that, so we can see some jiu-jitsu from that.
We're gonna see some scrambles. That's what I think. But Craig wasn't clear. He wasn't pulling guard. He ain't ever said anything about some flying shit. So got you watching you there.